What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Bitcoin today, BTC USD. It is the 29th day of December. Here we are sitting at about $87.4 thousand with roughly 8.5 hours left in this day. Hit that like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. Let's get into it, okay? I'm going to make this one a short video today, but I have some thoughts that I want to address before we move on. Not a whole lot's happened over the past couple of weeks, right? We're just moving sideways. Not a whole lot's happened. Sure, we wicked up and now we're back down. This is a very scary bearish candle, but the last time we had one like this, we didn't really move down too much at all. So I'm not worried about this. I'm still under the impression that we will move up from here, but there is a strong chance at this point that we could see a lower low before we do so. For a long time, I've assumed that this was the low. At first, the first week or so, we did assume that we would see lower lows at some point. But then once we started getting over here, and especially over here, we started thinking, oh, maybe we won't get lower lows because everybody assumed that this bear flag breakout would lead to lower prices, and it didn't. So I'm like, we're going to get a fake out and then rally back up to the upside here. The fact that we've moved sideways for so long and we continue to find resistance here at prior support right here makes me think that we could, in fact, go lower. If January opens up to the downside the way that I think it's going to, then it's a very possible outcome that we see a lower low here. But again, even if we see a lower low, I'm not worried about the price any more than I would have been back here during these lower lows when we were moving sideways, right? You found your low here on February 28th. It was all the way over here on April 7th, months later. Like a month and a half later that you found your low, but it was just a slightly lower low and then we moved up. We've seen that happen. We've seen this kind of behavior happen throughout the bull market. So if it happens, if we do go below this low, I'm not going to be worried about the price action. I hope you're not going to be worried about it either. I would think that if this was to be a breakout that would send us lower, we would have just done that here whenever we broke out of this channel. But there's no volume to come through. There's no volume here. There's just no volume at all. And that's exactly what I want to talk about, is that I think this is something to remember for next year, and maybe for most years, not for all years, but for most years, is that Thanksgiving time comes around and the markets are boring. We just move sideways. That's all it is. Now for the stock market, it's a little bit different. You did move up a little bit, but really, since the end of November, around Thanksgiving time, we've been moving sideways. Even before then, we've actually been moving sideways in the stock market for a long time. It's just, with Bitcoin, you're at the lower ends of your box. With the stock market, you're at the higher ends of your box. But still, you've been moving sideways really since October, since Halloween, since the holiday season really kicked off, right? So that's something to remember, is that these times with very low volume are completely associated with holiday season. And again, I've given you the reason, not trying to rhyme, but I've given you the reason a few different times, which is everybody's away for holiday. All the traders, all your market makers, all your trading desks, hedge fund managers, VCs, whatever, they're all gone. They're all on vacation. They'll come back during the new year to start pushing things around, and that's when we'll see volume come in. I mean, just look here. It's not like we had loads and loads of volume here, but just look at the gaps here, the inconsistency here. Yeah, there's some spikes that are bigger than these spikes here, but it compared to what we had before, it just seems a little bit more gappy to me. Anyways, here we are, 87.5K, consolidating. I want to be clear because I know I can be confusing at times. Just because I accept the possibility that this is not the low, and I accept that we could go lower, doesn't mean that we have to. This very well could have been the low. Just because we went lower here, slightly lower, just because we went lower here, slightly lower, while we were consolidating and moving sideways. And we did the same thing here, and we did the same thing here. This is a slightly lower low than any of these lows here. Just because we did that every time this cycle doesn't mean we have to do it now. If you're holding your breath, if you're thinking, you know what, I'm out of crypto, I'll just get back in whenever it's below 80K. That might work out. I wouldn't be surprised if it did. But I also wouldn't be surprised if it didn't. You know, I wouldn't hold my breath over that. I'm glad to be fully allocated in the markets. I'll happily sit through this to come through, to wait for the inevitable come up that'll take us well above 100K, and then reassess things, right? At this point, this might be the point at which we reassess, are we in a bull market, are we in a bear market here? I don't think that we're in a bear market at all. I have zero thoughts of that at all. But if we don't have a good reaction, I mean, we could reject from this area, find support at prior resistance, and still move up. So even having a reaction like that's not negative enough. It would basically have to come back down to here if we were to move up we'd have to come back down to these low levels below 90K, and that would make me bearish. So we would no longer probably go up. We'd actually be in a bear market at that point. But I don't know. There's a lot of paths forward. All I'm assuming right now is that we could see a lower low, a slightly lower low, and then likely push above 100K, around 106, 110K, somewhere in there. Or we don't see a lower low. We could just move up from here. But still, it's Christmas week. Schools are on vacation. How many of these people who are market participants have kids, have families? They're on vacation now, right? It's that Christmas week where all schools have like 2 weeks off, and it's New Year's Eve week right now. So I just don't think we're going to see volume come back in. I think we will be consolidating until maybe after the first week of January. Maybe it'll be the first week, but probably the second week. And then I'm really expecting that from January 16th or maybe January 20th and onwards, January 19th and onwards, that'll be when we start to recover from here. So until that time, we're just going to move sideways. I mean, we're doing it now. We're literally seeing the epitome of exactly what we've been talking about for months at this point, right? And I'm not trying to pretend that I've gotten it right. I haven't gotten it right 100%. There was a time here where we were expecting that we would go up to this area to find resistance. And I did expect that we'd be all the way down here by the end of the month. I thought we'd break out of this channel to the upside, and then we'd break out of it to the downside, psyching both sides out. It was a story that I fabricated in my own head, which more or less got the same end result, but it wasn't how I thought that it would be. It's not exactly how I thought that it would be. Anyways, all I'm trying to say is we're moving sideways here. We've been moving sideways. That's been the call, and it's only getting more sideways. It's only getting worse. We've literally been at this price of about 88K for the past week now. So I do assume that, we might see some volatility open up here because it is Monday. It's the beginning of a new week. We might choose a side within this range, but we're probably not going to go too far out of it until about this time in January, until about that 19th, 16th, 20th area there. So until then, pick a side, up or down, whichever side you choose, get a higher high, get a lower low, whichever side you choose. You're probably going to come right back here, and we'll see you here in about another week or two, basically. Or don't do either of those things. Just keep going sideways. Whatever you want to do. Everybody's on the edge of their seat waiting for the market to choose a side, while the people who make the big moves in the markets, they're not on the edge of their seat at all. They're eating, they're on vacation, they're on a beach somewhere, hanging out with their family. So maybe do the same, touch some grass, just relax. Nothing exciting is going to happen anytime soon. Well, I shouldn't say that. Less than a month from now. That's soon enough, I guess. But anyways, hit that like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. Videos are going to be a little bit different over the coming days. I've got a trip that I'm taking here, going to Texas, and I won't be back for until the first week of January. So I'll be gone for a little bit. So videos might be shorter, and there will likely be less of them too. Hit that like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye bye.